we got a ton of trade candidates, ton of potential free agents, big stars still to go. It is obviously moving slow. It feels like everybody's on vacation except maybe me and a few other people. You guys certainly are here, and we're excited to have you. Chat at me. I will answer any and all questions that I get. Hopefully, get plenty. And we are again going to start with the trade market latest, and we're going to get on to the Bellinger, Bregman, Bichette, the Killer Bees. Certainly going to talk about the Japanese stars who have deadlines coming up. So we know they're going to have those deals are going to happen sometime in the next week. Others we can't vouch for. We know there have been big stars who've signed late. Certainly Bryce Harper did. Manny Machado did. We shall see. We've got a number. We've got at least 5, 6, 7, 8 guys who are expected to get 9-figure deals still out there. All right. Dodgers looking to sign a trade for an outfielder. Yes, I can say that is for sure. I'm begging for a Phillies rumor. Look, the Phillies have a pretty darn good team right now. I think they're fairly satisfied in the outfield. I don't know. I still think Bader could be a possibility for them. They seem to think Crawford's going to be ready. I think Real Muto will eventually go back. We shall see about that. But obviously, the Phillies have a very, very good team. All right. What's your favorite planet? Mine's the sun. Is that a planet? I don't know. I like Jupiter. Is there a chance Cubs and Imai? I think so. I do like that one. I think that is a possibility. All right. Let's get to the trade market latest, and we will get to all of the chats in a little while. We have my chat expert working on that, so I will catch up on those when I can. Look, Skubal, teams, I believe, are making offers. I don't think they're naming prices at this point. He was in Detroit recently, really showed how much he loves it in Detroit. He hasn't said, I don't want to be traded, but that was the indication that you get from it. And I still think, I'm not going to say long shot. I don't think there's a great chance that they trade the best pitcher in baseball. I guess you can make a case for Skeens, but certainly 2-time Cy Young winner. He is the most accomplished young pitcher, still in his 20s, going to have a huge, huge free agency in a year. I think Detroit will end up keeping him. Obviously, the Dodgers, they're always shopping at the Neiman Marcus, looking for the best players they can. Obviously, the Dodgers would be interested. The Mets certainly interested. They need a top-of-the-line starter, and they do have prospects to trade. They aren't a team that loves to trade prospects. We do know David Stearns did trade for Christian Yelich, so he traded big-time prospects, Brinson, Harrison, some others there. Did do that, but not a guy who likes to trade the big-time prospect, particularly for a one-year guy. Still, I'm going to put the Mets and the Dodgers there as the most logical landing spots if the long shot comes in and Skubal is traded. Ketel Marte, he's been connected to a bunch of teams. It'll be weird if he's not traded in a way, but I'm kind of thinking, if the D-backs sign Bregman, I think that will be the indication Marte will likely be traded. At this point, I'm going to say he might stay, even after all this trade talk. Certainly Boston, Tampa Bay, Seattle at the forefront of those talks. I think that remains the same. Could see some other teams potentially in there. Could I see Toronto? Maybe. Possible. They're not on the no trade list. Mason Miller's a guy they wanted me to talk about. I get it. Huge, huge star. And certainly San Diego is willing to talk about anybody. That is just their MO. Certainly that's a guy the Mets could use. I don't think he's going anywhere, though. I'm going to be surprised on that one. I certainly will be. Brendan Donovan, look, St. Louis is one team that has traded. We've had so many great players on these trade lists. And let's be real about it. St. Louis is the one that's actually making trades. They've traded, obviously, Wilson Contreras. They traded Sonny Gray, both to the Red Sox. Could they trade Donovan to the Red Sox? I'm not going to rule it out. I've seen where Seattle and San Francisco, according to The Athletic, were the favorites. Of course, that was a couple, 2-3 weeks ago, so a lot can happen there. Donovan, very popular guy on the trade market. Certainly they can keep him. He's not a free agent after the year, so not going to be shocked if they do keep him. The other pitchers after Skubal, everyone comes after Skubal in my mind, but some really good pitchers out there. Peralta, look, he's only making $8 million. Milwaukee doesn't have to deal him. seemed to be buzz at the end of that winter meetings that there was a decent chance of it. Not going to be shocked if that does happen. Gore, I do think Washington probably should trade him with 2 years to go. As long as he's healthy, he should have a good market. Certainly an outstanding left-hander. Cabrera, that's the one that's had the most buzz lately. I've seen where Baltimore and a couple other teams have kind of dropped out. Is that a sign that he may go soon? I wouldn't put it past them. I do feel like Miami, they want to get more offense. They don't want to trade Alcantara. I could see Eduardo Cabrera being dealt. Absolutely, definitely. All right, let me get to some more of these chats. My chat expert is saying to me, are the Mets out on Okamoto? They looked at Wilson Contreras, as I reported in the New York Post. So I think they are looking at different players. The teams I've heard more with Okamoto, and I will get to that, do not include the Mets. I'm going to get to that later, though. If so, what are they doing? Well, they do need to get pitching. I think they know that. They need to get a closer. Like I said, Mason Miller doesn't seem that likely. Could it be Trevor McGill, Tyler's brother? Certainly a possibility. I'm sure they've talked about him. Pitching has got to be their number one thing. They're obviously in on Bellinger. We know that. Are they likely to get Bellinger? Wouldn't say that. The Yankees still seem somewhat confident that they can land Bellinger, but obviously that, along with a lot of these other big free agents, are moving slow. Yankees to get going. Yeah, I know I saw on Twitter somebody said who's had the worst offseason. It's basically a split between the Yankees and the Mets. I mean, maybe they're more New Yorkers than anybody, but I get it. Yankees, I think, still have a good team. They've got a lot of pitchers coming back, including Cole, Schmidt, Rodon. So I think they're in pretty good shape, as is. The Mets have got a lot of work to do. That would be my choice. Mets, Imai, question mark. That is a team that I think was connected to Imai, so not going to rule that out. It's certainly a possibility. They like young guys. He's 27. Maybe that's the guy for the Mets. Been connected more to the Yankees, although Jack Curry kind of shot that down this week. I think the Yankees are kind of split on Imai, so I'm not sure that he's likely to go there. I think, no, there are some people there who like him. There are others that have questions. He's been connected to Philly, as a chatter mentioned. The Cubs, certainly a possibility there. Pirates' main focus, think they won another bat. Good for them. They've been a winner so far. I don't know if they're going to make my top 5 winners list, but they are a winner so far. Okamoto certainly is a possibility. I'm going to get all the Okamoto contestants, candidates in a little while. Their Yankees trade options. Look, I think they need to work on that bullpen. So I'm going to say that they should probably look at McGill and Miller as well. Those would be trade options. I think they're looking more toward free agency. Orioles on Valdez. Yeah, John Morosi, who was my partner at the winter meetings, did mention originally that the Orioles, Giants, and Mets met with Valdez. Now, that's back at the GM meetings. Like a lot of these other star free agents, it's going slow. I do expect Valdez to do well in the end. And we're going to get to all these big free agents. Who are the Pirates focused on? I still think Okamoto is definitely a possibility for the Pirates. Reds still in on Marte, it looks like that says here. I've not heard that. Reds, I know people were excited that they might get Schwarber, didn't do it. So I think they're looking at big offensive players. They need a little more offensive help. And we know they signed J.J. Bleday. If he can bounce back, that could be a plus for them. Braves rumors, rotation or DH. Look, I think the Braves are in good shape. They certainly are one of the winners. I don't know if they made my top 5, but they probably should have if they didn't. They did make my list in the New York Post. What is the Astros' next move? I think the Astros need a catcher. I know they're looking at starting pitching. Mets, Tucker, question mark. I mean, that's a long way away if that happens, because right now they're looking at Bellinger. I got a couple other teams I'm looking at with Tucker more than the Mets. Mets, just anything. I get it. I know. It has not been a great winter so far. It's early. It's early. Looking at the free agent list, there's a ton of great free agents left. Marritt's more likely to acquire Marte, Donovan, Jazz, Willie Castro. I don't know or the field. Look, they were named as a favorite on Donovan. We know they're in on Marte. side okay over here?
Yeah.
All right, sorry about those technical difficulties. Seems like my computer, it's kind of an old computer. So let's get on to Bellinger, but chat at me. I will get to as many chats as I can. Bellinger update. Look, it's obviously not moving as quickly as we thought it might. We know the Yankees and Mets are involved. Certainly, the Giants and the Dodgers are two other teams with interest. I don't know. I've got a theory with the Dodgers and Tucker. I could see that going more likely. We'll see. Obviously, we know Tucker has been connected to the Jays as well. Yankees are disappointing right now. Yeah, right now, but it's early. We're not even to the new year. Is the show over? No, we're still going. I just put John's face on a milk carton. I'm back. I'm back. Yeah, did you get a new computer? Yeah, well, it lasted me a good long time, so I'm pretty happy with it, but that it could be over at this point. Is Nico Horner still in the trade conversations? Well, I mean, they are a team connected to Bregman, so I mean, I guess that is a possibility. I know people that are there, and they do not really love the idea of trading Nico Horner. Certainly, players on that team love the guy. They call him the lifeblood of the team, but he is a free agent after the year. Certainly, I think the Cubs would listen on any of their potential free agents, Happ and Suzuki being the other two. Bellinger update. Look, they're certainly looking right now for the years. Will they get it? I mean, we've got a ways to go in free agency. You would think with the sluggers, Alonso getting a 5-year deal, Schwarber getting a 5-year deal, age 32. Bellinger, you would think, could get potentially a 7-year deal. I had predicted 6 for 180. We shall see. He might have to settle for 6, but certainly we'll see. I think Bregman is probably connected to that. If Bregman gets 5 at age 32, certainly Bellinger would think to probably look to get 7. So I think they're still working on that. And right now, obviously, that's Scott Boras, who represents both those players. He's got a deadline with Imai and Okamoto coming up within the next week. So, I'm not sure that would affect the timing. I certainly would do a Bellinger or Bregman deal if the right deal came along. Bellinger, as I said, the two New York teams, plus the Dodgers and the Giants. And my other potential theory with Bellinger could be, if it doesn't work out for Tucker with Toronto, could Toronto go for Bellinger? I mean, certainly they'd like a lefty bat in that middle of the order to go with Vlad Guerrero Jr. I'm thinking Tucker potentially. And I mean, this guy has been a consistent player. Disappointing year last year with a 143 OPS. But if you had a disappointing year at 143 OPS plus, you're a hell of a player. Plus, he runs the bases well. He plays defense. But we shall see if he gets anywhere near that 400 million that people were predicting. If not, he could go for the Dodgers. I think that would be a shorter term deal with opt-outs. But I mean, nothing wrong with going to the Dodgers on a shorter deal. I think Diaz is one of my winners. He did that. He went to on a 3-year deal at 69 million. Certainly, it would be longer than that for a young player like Tucker. But to me, that's a potential theory. Toronto certainly has been interested for a long time. They gave him a tour. Presumably, you give him an offer if you're giving him a tour. I don't think you just show him around Dunedin. I don't think that's a big prize. It is a beautiful facility, though. They did a fantastic job with it. And he is from Tampa. Maybe that's a selling point for him. But it's been going on a long time. So, I think Toronto will stay in it for a long time. Further, if it doesn't work out there, I kind of like the Dodgers. So the two World Series teams I'm looking at for Tucker. Bellinger, Yankees, they seem somewhat confident, but you can never be confident in free agency. We know he wants to play for a winner. That's a big thing for Bellinger, and I think he would like to go back to the Yankees if he can. Which of Gore, Peralta, Alcantara most likely for Yankees? I think Alcantara stays put, so I don't think he's going anywhere. I'm not sure about the Yankees trading for a starting pitcher. I think there are other teams more in need. I does feel like Cabrera is going to get traded, and I think Gore has a good chance to be traded as well. Orioles' next move, I think they got to look for more pitching. A starting pitcher still. Their rotation looks pretty good, and they're certainly one of my winners, and I will get to that later. I think they could look at certainly a bullpen potentially. Phillies news. As I said, I was still would look in the outfield. They like Crawford. They certainly signed Adolis Garcia, so that's a plus there. They will be trading or releasing certainly Castellanos. That's not going to work out. I think we all knew that. That's no scoop. Will Mariners make any moves? Yeah, I think they will. You know what I like for the Mariners is Eugenio Suarez going back there. If not, certainly Marte, as I mentioned, is a possibility. Isaac Paredes trade rumors. I mean, all these teams looking at infielders, it's certainly possible. Houston looking to get some money to maybe get a catcher, maybe get another starting pitcher. Bichette Dodgers question mark. I don't see that one. To me, the Dodgers have got to look the outfield, not the infield. So I'm not seeing that one. Maybe you know something I don't know. Ketel Marte news. I mean, it's the same teams we're looking at. I think Tampa, Boston, Seattle. New York is not Milwaukee. I get it. I know the Mets have not spent like we were expecting them to at this point, but there are a ton of free agents to go. All right, let me finish on Bregman here and Bregman and Bichette. Yankees in on Bichette. I find that I know somebody with the Yankees who loves Bichette. I find that unlikely. I'm not seeing the match there. We've seen that Jazz is out there. They are talking about Jazz. Could they trade Jazz and then sign Bichette? I guess it's possible. I do know a Yankee person who does like Bichette very much. So I'm not going to rule that one out. Dodgers, I don't see. Yankees, not that likely. I mean, to me, Toronto's the team that makes sense for Bichette. Bregman is the same teams: Boston, Cubs, Arizona, and Toronto. So we've got four teams. Certainly just waiting for that right deal, and we assume that right deal is at probably at least 5 years if he can do it. Last year he went for a shorter term deal, opted out. Fit Boston, played very well there. They certainly want him back. He's their number one choice at this point. Doesn't mean they get him, but he's their number one choice. Cubs, it feels like the Cubs need to make a trade to do it, so a little bit less likely for them. Arizona, a possibility. Would they have to trade Marte? I would think that makes sense, but there's a lot of takers on Marte, and I could see them moving Marte more than I can see the Cubs moving Horner at this point. Toronto, I mean, good for them. They're in on everybody. They want to win. I like what they're doing. Certainly Bregman, a possibility for Toronto. Those are the four teams: Boston, Cubs, Arizona, and Toronto. Bichette. I think Toronto is the team that makes the most sense, and I could see that happening. Certainly, if they don't get Tucker, I do see them getting Tucker and Bichette. Not too likely. Bregman and Bichette, no, that's one or the other for sure. Boston, a possibility for Bichette as well, but he seems like a fallback choice to them right now. Bregman, probably their top choice. They've done a lot of Marte talking, but certainly Boston is a possibility for Bichette as well. All right, let's talk slow starter market. All right. Man, there are a lot of good starting pitchers left. We just saw Zach Eflin come off the board, but wow, Framber Valdez, Imai, Suarez, Gallen, Bassett, Scherzer, Verlander, and there are a ton of others. So there's a ton of starters to go. Verlander Houston reunion. That's not bad. I like Detroit with Verlander. I think that would be nice to see him go back to the Tigers. That would be a nice reunion for me. But yeah, Houston is looking for a starter. Can they afford Verlander? I mean, he was pretty good in the second half, so I'm not sure they can afford him at this point. Detroit certainly can. Detroit is an interesting team, and believe it or not, I believe they're one of my winners. I know some people won't see it that way, but they are a winner, I think, so far, and I congratulate them for holding on to, at this point, Skubal. And I think they should hold on to Skubal. I get it, Angels were criticized for not trading Ohtani, and they probably should have. They weren't going anywhere. But the Tigers are a team that's been a contending team, right? They made the playoffs the last 2 years thanks to Skubal. They won two-thirds of their games, actually a little more than two-thirds with Skubal starting in those 2 years, and only won 50% of the games that he didn't start. So, and he has made it clear that he loves Detroit. I mean, he didn't say it out loud that he wants to stay in Detroit, but that's the way it feels. And I know the manager certainly would like him to stay. So I'm thinking he probably stays at this point. Guaranteeing? No, I'm not guaranteeing. Mets offensive options other than Bellinger. Uh, Well, we know they're looking at Austin Hayes as well, righty bat. That does fit. Bellinger would be their top choice. Obviously, they haven't named the right number of years at this point. That's why they don't have him. That's why nobody has him at this point. That slow starter market. I think Framber Valdez has been one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last half dozen years. Has been really good in the postseason. We do know, as Morosi had told us, San Francisco, the Orioles, and the Mets all met with Framber Valdez at the GM meetings. Now, of course, that's a long time ago. A lot's happened. I know there have been some Mets rumors. Mets are not a team that loves to go long with a pitcher, though. So, I mean, if he ends up signing a shorter deal, sure, I could see the Mets. Do I think the Mets are coming in at 6, 7 years? I doubt it. It doesn't seem like their MO. Would they do it for Skubal? Sure, they would do it for Skubal. Would they do it for a 25-year-old pitcher? They certainly wanted Yamamoto. They were willing to do it there. I don't see the Mets going long on Framber. So that's my question there. Could the Orioles do it? I mean, Mike Elias is the GM. He was there in Houston. He was also there with Kyle Tucker. I think they've done enough offensively, though. They are one of the big winners in my mind. Framber, I mean, if the Orioles do it, they've solidified as the number one winner. So, to me, I think Framber is an outstanding pitcher. Ranger Suarez, I think he's going to eventually be very popular on the market. Not as many innings as Framber. That's a double-edged sword. It's a little bit better in terms of doesn't have the mileage. But then again, we know Framber can throw a large number of innings. So I like Ranger Suarez a lot. The Orioles, a possibility for him as well. Cubs, a possibility. Imai, I'm going to get to with Akamoto, so I'm going to skip that one. Gallen, could he go back to the D-backs? I could actually see that one easily. Bassett, I think he'd like to go back to Toronto. I mean, they have some unfinished business they'd like to take care of. That's probably true of Scherzer, too. Verlander, as I mentioned, I love the Detroit option for him. We'll see if that's really an option. That may be just in my mind. When will Bregman sign? I mean, we've been waiting. It could be any day, but as I said, they're working right now, certainly with a deadline on Akamoto and Imai. Bregman is obviously a patient fellow. He had a pretty reasonable offer from Houston, didn't take it, waited it out. Eventually then signed with Boston, talked to a bunch of teams. So he's a very patient guy. But I kind of think Bregman before Bellinger. No guarantees again. Can Cincinnati make a run at Akamoto? I haven't heard that connection, but certainly they could look at offense. I see that. Royals and Duran still possible. Problem with the Royals is Bubic being hurt the last couple months. I think he's in fine shape, but it certainly affected his trade value. So I don't think you can get Duran at this point for a Bubic, but maybe they could sign somebody. But again, to do that, they probably need some money. They are looking at outfield, whether Bader could fit, Austin Hayes could fit. Yandy Diaz, Mets question mark. That would be a fit if the Tampa's willing to trade him. I haven't heard that he's out there. He is often out there, but I haven't heard that. And they've obviously traded Brandon Lau, and they've made some big trades. And obviously Boz was traded, so certainly they could be loading up for their return to the old ballpark. It's not really even a ballpark; it's a dome. Cubs sign a big name free agent ever. Look, yeah, they've never signed anyone over 200 million. We know they had Dansby Swanson. They signed Hayward. We're going back a few years now. I think Imai is a potential fit for them, but maybe that's just in my mind. We shall see here. All right, I don't know what that means about Devers and the Red Sox. He's with the Giants. Suarez, I covered that one. Mets need a banger, bro. Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree they need another hitter. Obviously, they lost Alonso. That's a huge loss, so they need to do something there. Jay's most likely Tucker, Bo, or Bregman. I'll say Bo. I think they get one of them, though. We'll see. Red Sox in on Imai or Akamoto. Akamoto potentially for the Red Sox. I see that. Christian Walker, I haven't heard much on him lately. I assume he's staying. Royals in on Bichette. No, that's too pricey for them. All right. All right, let's move on to the latest on Akamoto and Imai. Akamoto seems to have a decent market. He's got till January 4th. We know Pittsburgh is in. We know the Angels are a potential. That'll be up to Artie Moreno eventually. They didn't get in on Murakami, who they liked as well, but certainly Akamoto is more of the plug and play guy. He's ready to go right now, probably as a third baseman, definitely as a first baseman. Decent fielder, better contact. He probably will do better than Murakami. I mean, everybody was over Murakami. My prediction was way off on Murakami, and I think everybody else's was too. People obviously had questioned about the swing and miss and the defense, and he ended up with 2 years at 34 million with the White Sox. So Akamoto could be any of those teams that are looking at Bregman then too, right? Because third baseman, Boston, Cubs. Arizona, Toronto, all potentials. San Diego's a new one in the mix. I think I think his name is Romero. I think reporter, very good reporter in Latin America. He mentioned the Padres, throw them in the mix. Hey, the Padres are a lot more aggressive than anybody thought they'd be. Offense trade targets for the Dodgers. I mean, I think the Dodgers targets are probably in free agency, right? We know they're looking at Bellinger, was their old guy they like still, but I think they're holding out and waiting to see what goes on with Tucker. If they can get him on a short-term deal, I think they would do Tucker. And they aim big and they're looking at outfield more than infield. Akamoto Pirates, I think so. I think that is a very definite possibility, and I give the Pirates credit. They're already one of my winners. I don't know if I listed them as one of the top 5 winners, but I'll tell you right now, I think the Pirates are a winner. I think the Braves are a winner. I didn't mention them in my top 5 here, but they certainly were in the New York Post top 5. I like what the Braves have done, certainly with Suarez in the bullpen, with Yastrzemski in the outfield. I think they've done some good work. Imai, there was translations and one guy in the New York Post about what he said or didn't say, and I think that's kind of dicey. I mean, I can't imagine that he actually said, I don't have any offers. I don't see that as a possibility. He is right now holding Zoom conferences with multiple teams. We know about the Cubs. We think the Phillies, the Yankees, although Jack Curry had kind of suggested the Yankees aren't that likely for Imai. The Mets, they've been connected to Imai as well. Interesting guy, 27 years old. He's got a 2.2 ERA over the last 6 years. Outstanding right-hander with a great slider. I think teams look at him as a number 2 type or number 3 type starter, not going to cost any free agent compensation, no qualifying offer, only 27. So I can't imagine he's doing poorly. I think those comments were misinterpreted or not translated exactly properly. I think he is talking to a lot of teams, and he probably should have a pretty good deal at some point here. All right. So, and Imai, again, I've always said the Cubs make sense for Imai. Cubs are in pretty good shape, and not a bad team right now, a playoff team. And I think they've got some good kids coming, and Imai doesn't cost any draft compensation, and he's within their range, right? He's not going to be over $200 million. Makes sense to me. Philly, been connected. Their pitching is pretty good, as is Yankees. I think that they're kind of mixed on it, so maybe not that likely. Mets connected as well. It would be interesting to see the Mets get them because they haven't been connected that much, but kind of slightly they've been connected. All right, let me do my winners here. Do you think the market will start moving very soon or not until after the new year? A good question. I think it will be after the new year. I really do. I'm sorry to discourage anybody. It feels like most people are on vacation right now, or maybe it's a strategy, kind of slow playing it, trying to get the numbers down. Maybe not they're happy with the years. Maybe waiting to see if these trades work out. I think the Cease deal, which was enormous, kind of discouraged some other teams and probably energized some agents to keep asking for big numbers. And like I said, Framber Valdez is an outstanding pitcher. Ranger Suarez is an outstanding pitcher. They should get big numbers. They should get 9-figure deals, and I think eventually they will. Royals trade targets. We talked about that. I think Duran is a target. I don't think he's that likely. Boston certainly has been talking about him with a number of teams. The Dodgers would make sense for Duran as well. They probably want to play out the free agency, though, and see what goes on with Bellinger and Tucker. Let me do my free agency winners. I'm a little bit over, but that was due to my technical difficulty, so I got still have some time to go. My number one winner, let me see, Ranger Suarez to Astros, a possibility. Yeah, the Astros are claiming they don't have that kind of money from what I hear, so I think that's not that likely. Yohan Moncada linked to the Pirates. Yes, I have seen that. I believe that. I think that's probably accurate as well. They are looking at third base for sure. Okamoto, to me, to the Pirates, a definite possibility. Number one winner is the Orioles, and that they were my number one winner in the New York Post, and that's even before they brought back Zach Eflin. But to get Alonso, I mean, to me, that's not an unreasonable deal. 5 for 155. I get that the other teams, the Red Sox, the Mets, were thinking more 3. Maybe they would have stretched it to 4. But, I mean, Alonso is just into his 30s now. He's a guy who plays every day. One of the best sluggers in the game. I think he had the most home runs in the National League since he came into the league. Not more than Judge, but more than most of the National League. It's a big move. I mean, this is Frank Robinson. The owner got excited. I think David Rubenstein is a terrific owner. That's, probably a little bit of hyperbole. I don't blame them. I like their billboards, icy conditions ahead for the polar bear. I like what the Orioles are doing. They also brought in Shane Baz. Looked a bit like an overpay. We shall see. Prospects are just that until they actually do something. But they obviously like Shane Baz. They brought back Eflin. Helsley, outstanding. I think he was tipping pitches with the Mets. He'll be back. Kittredge, very solid pitcher. Did a nice job with the Cubs. Back with the Orioles. They are my number one winner at this point. And I feel a little guilty. The Braves are not going to be in here, but to me, the Braves are clearly a winner. So, I mean, they could easily be on this list. The Pirates are as well, but they need a little more offense. Jays, I mean, Dylan Cease just adds to that fine rotation that they have with Gosman and Yasavich. And they added Pawns for the rotation as well. He was outstanding over in Korea, and their rotation looks like it's in fine shape, which allows them to potentially shop Jose Barrios. All right, Seattle trade rumors. As I said, Eugenio Suarez, to me, it makes sense. I wouldn't mark it down in pen, but I think that's got a decent chance. Tyler Rogers, he was fantastic with the Giants and almost as fantastic with the Mets. Nice pickup for the Jays bullpen. Back end is much better now. I like what they're doing. So Jays are number 2, and they're still working. I mean, the Orioles and the Jays are 1 and 2. AL East is going to be tough. Orioles still working on starting pitching, relief pitching. I think they like Suarez. Certainly they could do some more in the bullpen. Jays still working on a lot of offense, whether it be Tucker, Bregman, Bichette. I mean, I'm not going to rule out Bellinger for them either if they don't get Tucker. So, I mean, they've obviously got money to spend. Edward Rogers is the richest owner in the American League, not the richest in baseball. We know that, Steve Cohen. White Sox, I'm happy to put them on my winners list. Number 3, Murakami. Nobody saw that coming when this winter started. In fact, I think I predicted $150 million for Murakami. That is my biggest miss of all time. 2 years, $34 million. Obviously, it's not the agents doing it. It's a matter of the teams had questions about him. He's a young guy, 25 years old, a lot of swing and miss, really not a third baseman. They'll have him at first. They're going to work on his footwork, and their lineup looks pretty decent now. So good for the White Sox. That's the number 3 winner. Number 4 winner, I've got the Red Sox. They're still working on Bregman or Bichette or Marte, but obviously Sonny Gray really upgrades that rotation. Contreras is another middle-of-the-order bat that really helps them, and it was very good at first base. I know the Mets really liked him. I know a lot of other teams liked him, and good for the Red Sox for making that move. The Red Sox have made 10 trades. They haven't signed a free agent. We know they have money, so look, they're probably the favorite for Bregman. Is that a guarantee? No, but you still got Bregman out there. You got Marte out there. You got Bichette out there. A lot of possibilities for that extra infielder for Boston. So these teams are all doing stuff still. It's all doing stuff. I mean, these are teams that are already winners, and they're going to solidify in the winner's circle here. All right, my number 5 is the Tigers. A little bit off the board. I like what they did in that bullpen, bringing in Jansen, who's an all-time closer. Finnegan, outstanding for the back end. I mean, you give A.J. Hinch closers like this, and obviously they still have Will Vest. They have 3 guys who saved 20-plus games last year, and they're still holding Skubal, which I think is the right move. I mean, it wasn't the right move holding on to Ohtani in the end. We know that, but Trading Mookie Betts, was that the right move? No, we know that was not the right move. Skubal is in that category, the best pitcher in baseball. I think they need to hang on to him. They could trade him at the deadline if they're not in it. I do expect them to be in it because they are a winner. All right, somebody said something about the D-backs. Sorry, I missed that. All right, it's 3:37. My time is up. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Thank you so much for staying with me. It's Jon Heyman signing off. I'll use this computer next week. It's a very nice, new, beautiful computer. I guess I was just used to that old one. I appreciate you staying with me. Again, Jon Heyman signing off for Bleacher Report. Back at you next week.